They say some places hold echoes of the past, whispers of stories that refuse to die. Cabin 13 was one of those places, tucked away in the dense, forgotten woods of Blackwood Creek. It was a place locals avoided, a place where shadows danced a little too long and the silence felt heavy, watchful. But for Maya, a city girl desperate for a quiet escape from the noise of her life, it was perfect. Or so she thought. She arrived on a Tuesday, the autumn sun casting long, skeletal fingers through the trees. The cabin was old, weathered, but had a rustic charm. Unlocking the heavy oak door, a gust of musty air, smelling of pine and something else, something coppery and old, greeted her. She brushed it off, chalking it up to a lack of ventilation. That was her first mistake. The first night was unsettling. The wind howled like a tortured animal, rattling the window panes. Maya, curled up by the fireplace with a book, kept hearing things. A floorboard creaking upstairs, a soft, almost inaudible scratching from within the walls, just the old house settling. She'd whisper to herself, her heart thumping a little faster, but the feeling of being watched was a cold blanket she couldn't shake off. By the third day, the strange occurrences became harder to ignore. Objects moved. The rocking chair in the corner of the living room would be gently swaying when she returned from a walk, though the windows were shut tight. A small, antique locket she found on the mantelpiece would reappear on her pillow, cold to the touch. The scratching sound grew louder, more frantic, seeming to follow her from room to room. One evening, while making tea, she noticed something carved into the wooden countertop, hidden beneath a layer of grime. She wiped it clean. H.N. Air. E.L. 1958. And below it, scratched with what looked like a fingernail, were the words, "He won't let me leave." A chill, colder than the autumn air, snaked down her spine. Who was he, and who was trying to leave? That night, she was jolted awake by a sound. Not the wind, not the house settling. It was a girl's voice, a faint, desperate sob, seemingly coming from the vents. Maya froze, her breath caught in her throat. "Please," the voice wept, a sound so filled with sorrow it was almost unbearable. "Let me go." Her rational mind screamed at her to leave, to pack her bags and drive away until the cabin was just a bad memory. But a morbid curiosity, a pull she couldn't explain, kept her there. She had to know the story of this place. The next day she explored the locked room at the top of the stairs, the one the rental listing said was for storage only. After several attempts, the old lock gave way. The room was a time capsule. A thick layer of dust covered everything: a child's bed, a small desk, and a wardrobe. On the wall, faded children's drawings were tacked up. But what drew her eye was a small, leather-bound diary on the desk. The cover was embossed with the initials E.L. Elara. Her hands trembled as she opened it. The entries, written in a delicate, looping script, started cheerfully, describing a family vacation in 1958. But the tone quickly soured. Elara wrote about her father, a man named Harold, becoming different after they arrived at the cabin. He became possessive, paranoid. He boarded up her window, claiming it was for her own safety. He talked about the spirit of the woods and how it demanded a sacrifice, a companion. The last entry was dated October 31st, 1958. The handwriting was jagged, frantic. "He locked me in. He says the spirit has chosen me. He says I can never leave cabin 13. He's coming. I hear him on the stairs. He's not my father anymore. Someone, please help me." Suddenly, a loud bang from downstairs made Maya drop the diary. She crept to the door, peering down the hallway. The front door, which she had deadbolted, was wide open, swinging gently in the wind. A deep, guttural laugh echoed from the forest outside. It wasn't human. Panic, finally, took hold. She scrambled to grab her keys and phone, but they were gone from the hook by the door. She was trapped, just like Elara. The scratching started again, this time not from the walls, but from the inside of the locked room's wardrobe. Scratch, scratch, scratch. Louder and more insistent. Maya backed away, her eyes fixed on the wardrobe door. The handle began to jiggle violently. The wood of the door started to splinter from the inside. The sobbing she'd heard before returned, but now it was intermingled with that low, guttural chuckle. "You can't leave either," a voice rasped, a chilling fusion of a young girl's and an old man's. "He needs a new friend to play with." Ilara got lonely. The wardrobe door burst open. Out of the darkness, a figure emerged. It was tall and gaunt, with limbs that bent at unnatural angles. Its movements jerky like a broken doll. It had the shape of a man, but its face was a shifting nightmare of shadows, with 2 points of malevolent, glowing light where its eyes should be. It wore the tattered remnants of a 1950s suit, and holding its hand was a small, spectral girl in a faded dress, her face pale and her eyes hollow, pits of despair. "Ilara, he won't let you leave," the little girl whispered, her voice a hollow echo. Maya screamed. She ran, but there was nowhere to go. The cabin, once her sanctuary, was now her tomb. The entity lunged, its shadowy fingers extending, reaching for her. The last thing she saw was Ilara's spectral face, a single tear tracing a path through the dust of decades on her cheek, before the darkness of Cabin 13 consumed her, its echo of despair claiming another voice for its collection. The next morning, the sun rose over Blackwood Creek. Cabin 13 stood silent, as if sleeping. A new carving appeared on the kitchen counter, freshly etched below the others. Amy, K, 2020, e 5 just beside it. 2 simple, terrifying words. "She's staying. Some places hold echoes, and some places never, ever let you go." Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this story and want more terrifying tales, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to Grivox Presents. We'll see you in the next one. Stay safe.